or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at Mewtwo V-Union. Now, I know it's not been very long since I showed you V-Union cards kind of as a concept and Zacian and all of that, but we've got Mewtwo V-Union. The art is phenomenal. The card looks fun. Let's take a gander. Now, because we only had V-Union revealed a few hours ago, we should probably remind ourselves of the workings of V-Union Pokemon. So the deal is this. You can play them from the discard once you have all 4 parts in the discard. Get all 4 of them in the discard, and then you just play it from the discard. They give up free prizes. They are neither basic nor evolution Pokemon. That means that cards that search for evolution or basic, cards which stop basic or evolution attacking, etc., none of that interacts with these at all. You can only play one of each V-Union per game, so when Mewtwo V-Union hits the discard pile, you can't then play it from the discard a second time, but you could also play Zacian V-Union, for instance. And all 4 parts of Mewtwo V-Union count as the same card name. That means you can only play one of each of the 4 corners, and it means if one of them is prized, gutted, you ain't playing Mewtwo V-Union this game. Got that? Good. Let's get rolling. So we've got 310 HP, which is up there as a VMAX territory. Weaker end of VMAXs, but still up there. You're a free prize Pokemon, it's expected. Retreat cost of 2 means you do have Air Balloon for free retreat, which is kind of nice. Resistance to fighting is always a bonus. There's plenty of things out there like Urshifu at the moment that are pretty gosh darn good. Nice to have a resistance. And weakness to darkness is actually kind of annoying because Gengar VMAX looks like it is a phenomenal card moving forward. And we've got Umbreon VMAX as well. I'm not sure that having a weakness to darkness is going to be a good thing moving forward. That already makes Mewtwo quite, well, potentially quite scary to play. Being a psychic Pokemon does mean you are hitting weakness on stuff like Urshifu, but it also means you can combine this with Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX, for instance, that will let you accelerate energy while drawing cards, and that is clearly a very, very good thing. I think if you're playing Mewtwo, you're probably going to be playing Shadow Horse, both for getting extra energy on the field and also for drawing cards and letting you draw into and hopefully discard your V-Union parts a little bit more easily. So with all of that out of the way, what does it actually do? Well, frankly, a lot. There is an ability here, and our translations obviously come from the lovely Antoine Boulet. By now I'm assuming you know that. If I don't tell you, assume it's from Antoine, but given how much help Antoine gives us, it really would be nice to try and make sure we at least say it in the video, wouldn't it? The ability here says, prevent all effective attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. And before anyone gets overly excited, do remember, damage is not an effect of an attack. Damage will go through, but nothing else will go through here. So that Beedrill that gets a 1-hit KO on any Pokemon that has special energy attached to it won't be able to get a 1-hit KO on here because that is an effective attack other than damage. So it doesn't work. Anything that would seek to impart special conditions, anything that would seek to discard energy, anything along those lines doesn't work. And this is a huge advantage. The general main categories here are automatic KOs, special conditions, and energy removal. I'm not saying there aren't others, I'm just saying that when we're talking about effective attacks, they are generally the 3 types of effective attacks we are looking for. They're the ones we're going to be trying to stop. And this is awesome, because even if none of those things are particularly big at the moment, we never know what's going to come out in the future. We never know what's going to be big in the future. At one point, everyone was trying to use Torkoal. Okay, maybe not everyone, but a bunch of people were trying to use Torkoal to just discard 2 energy at once. It was kind of trendy. People thought it might be good. Never worked out. Torkoal never ended up being particularly good. But that's not the point. The point is that something like Torkoal could come around again in the future, and you would have your built-in answer to it. This is a great ability. It's not a reason to play the card, although it will win you some matchups if they rely on special conditions, automatic KOs, etc. But it is a handy, handy bonus. Now, the first attack here is Union Gain. We see this on all 3 of the V-Union revealed so far. You attach up to 2, in this case, Psychic Energy, from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And I don't like this. I'm talking about a free prize Pokemon that is frankly kind of awkward to get into play. So what I don't really want to do is use my attack for the turn to attach energy to it while it's in the active and just leave it in the active ready to take a hit from my opponent. It's not what I'm looking for. It's a nice emergency attack. It's nice if you've got no better options, but I've already told you about Ghost Horse here, Shadow Rider Calyrex V Max. That is your by far better way to be accelerating energy here. That is what I would be using. This is fine in an emergency, but I don't think it's something we really want to be relying on. To get into attacks you might actually be using, we've got here 2 Psychic, 1 Colorless Energy, heal 200 from this Pokemon. Okay, now we're talking, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are talking. Healing 200 is good. Healing 200 is big. Healing 200, now again, this isn't actually doing any damage, but you got 310 HP. And you are immune to any effects of attacks. No special conditions, no energy denial, no instant KOs, none of that. There will legitimately be games where you can whack Mewtwo in the active, attach free energy, and then basically put your feet up and start chuckling. Because if your opponent cannot do more than 200 damage, you just heal. And again, in this situation, your opponent would maybe start trying to muck around with special conditions and things of that nature, but no. Like, if we take something like my boy Excadrill, I adore Excadrill. I don't think I have been shy about my love for Excadrill. Excadrill is my boy. I love him. But the fact of the matter is that Excadrill tops out at 180 damage. Now, maybe we can play around with Martial Arts Dojo here and go up to 220. So you're basically doing 20 damage a turn. That's a 16 hit KO. That's ludicrous. And of course, that's assuming that Mewtwo doesn't replace a stadium, have any other healing, etc. This is the level of healing where you can legitimately wall. Like, actually legitimately just heal every single turn, because there are a lot of decks that literally cannot do more than 200 damage. I mean, if we take something like Zacian V, Zacian V is a pretty good Pokemon. It does 230. So they do 230, you heal down. And sure, they can be playing around with stuff like Rusted Sword, but you can be playing around with stuff like Tool Scrapper. And maybe there are going to be some decks that get around it, and there are going to be some decks that can get one-hit KOs. But let's make absolutely no bones about this whatsoever. There are going to legitimately be games where your opponent cannot KO this Mewtwo, because you are just healing every single turn. 200 damage, and your opponent can't KO you. And that's before we bring in any other kind of healing, and there are other kind of healings we can use. Things like Indeedee that heals 20. But again, if you're already healing 200 every turn, then Indeedee's 20 starts looking a lot better. This is going to wall some decks. This is legitimately going to wall some decks. Now again, there are things out there like Gengar that'll hit for weakness and get fairly easy one-hit KOs. But that is not that many decks, ladies and gentlemen. This could wall. Like, this could be the best wall Pokemon we've ever seen. And I mean that sincerely. Now, also for 2 Psychic, 1 Colorless Energy, if you do want to deal some damage, you place 16 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way that you like. Oh. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, this takes me back to the days of Umbreon and Deoxys. Wait, no, that's not how it worked. Espeon and Deoxys. Because that could drop 10 damage counters for free energy, or for 6 energy, once per turn as your GX attack, you drop 20 damage counters. Now, if you're telling me that was 6 energy once during the game, I think I said turn, I meant game. Once during the game, you can drop 20 damage counters, and this is free energy every turn dropping 16? Like, how is an evolution deck supposed to survive if you get free energy on Mewtwo? Like, genuinely, if I get free energy on a Mewtwo, let's say I'm against a Frostmoth deck, I can KO that 90 HP Frostmoth. Oh, sweet, I've still got 7 damage counters left. So I also KO a 50 damage Snom, and I've still got 2 damage counters left. Or I get a Frostmoth and I leave the other Frostmoth 20 away from being KO'd, and then next turn I can KO that Frostmoth and 2 Snom that my opponent benches. Like, if I'm playing an evolution deck and Mewtwo V-Union gets free psychic energy on, how am I supposed to deal with that? And this is 2 attacks in a row. 2 attacks in a row that some decks literally will not be able to cope with. Healing 200 damage is ridiculous. If you can't hit like 300 damage, you're not really going to be putting a dent in Mewtwo. It's going to be many turns. And you're dropping 16 damage counters in this attack, and against evolution decks, there's no way around that. You need to get set up before Mewtwo gets free energy on. If Mewtwo comes on the field and gets free energy on, evolution decks are done, unless they're already set up. And again, we're going to be using Shadow Rider Calyrex here to accelerate the energy. You are really, against something like Mewtwo, some decks are genuinely just going to be crossing their fingers and going, hope they don't get it out before I'm set up. Because otherwise I will lose. I will literally lose the game. Oh yeah, and there's another attack here as well. 4 energy, 300. It's a 4th energy, but again, we've got energy acceleration. We're not too worried here. And 4 energy, 300 is kind of nuts good again, because you're into kind of VMAX KOing territory. Honestly, you are getting VMAXs, but it's kind of the weaker ones like more Pico. If you were to add a Vitality Band, then you would be getting up to things like Victini VMAX. But even then, that's Victini VMAX. One of its defining features is the fact that it is extremely weak as a Pokemon. So again, I don't think that's something to really be coveting, that, oh, I can get a one-hit KO on Victini VMAX. I don't know if that's necessarily some huge selling point. So okay, fine, 4 energy, 300 might be slightly weak. But again, you know, it's only VMAXs you're missing. Tag Team Pokemon, Pokemon V, anything other than VMAXs, and potentially other V-Union, you are getting a one-hit KO here. And this is like my 3rd favourite attack of this Pokemon. It's like maybe my 4th favourite thing about this Pokemon. That tells you quite how good Mewtwo V-Union is. The ability prevents all effective attacks, obviously not including damage. That's great. You've got an attack that can heal 200 damage, giving you a ridiculous wall to just deck your opponent out. You've got an attack that can drop 16 damage counters, and because you can drop them anywhere you like, it means that any kind of evolution deck or low HP deck, you're going to be taking multiple prizes a turn and completely stopping their setup. Oh yeah, and then you can just casually do 300 damage, and just to be clear, there are very, very few Pokemon out there that can just deal 300 damage. I think this is a 5 Wossie card, but we have a gigantic caveat here. And the gigantic caveat is, these might be too awkward. We've not played with them. At the moment, all we've got is theory crafting. Remember that you've got to get all 4 parts in your discard pile. Remember that they all share the same name, so if one of them is prized, you are locked out of that Pokemon until you can get it out of your prizes. Remember that after getting it out, you've still got to accelerate the energy. This might be too awkward. But if it's not, it is absolutely phenomenal. Just as a side note, in Expanded, you've got Battle Compressor and Malamar. Battle Compressor will discard energy and Pokemon, and then Malamar will accelerate that energy from the discard to your Pokemon. And I think in Expanded, we've got tricks that are going to absolutely make this work. Of course, in Expanded, there are far more tricks to stop this, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention it in the video. Right, there we go. Mewtwo V Max. No, wait, not that one. Mewtwo V-Union. Even more exciting. This has the chance, and again, there's no guarantee this might end up being too awkward to use. That really is the big question with the Union Pokemon, and I don't think that is going to be a question we can answer until we've actually got these cards in hand and we can start playing with them. But certainly in terms of potential and dumb good attacks, there are few Pokemon I think we have ever seen that can get up to the excitement level of Mewtwo V-Union. At least that's what I think. I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.